Welcome to this week's episode of our podcast. In this episode, Greg and I are going to be talking about overcoming limiting beliefs and how that helps us build strong relationships. We'll be looking at some of the things that we think are limiting beliefs. We don't always think about how they relate to each other, but it's important for us to recognize what our limiting beliefs are so that we can build confidence and grow our relationships. Thanks for joining with us, and we look forward to seeing where this goes. So we're back now with, I'm here with my friend, Greg DeMarco, and we're talking about overcoming limiting beliefs and building strong relationships. And, we talked about each of these topics in previous conversations. And I was interested in how they actually might fit together. We don't often think about, at least I don't often think about overcoming limiting beliefs in relation to building strong relationships. Have you ever put those two ideas together, Greg, or what's your thoughts on where we're going with this today?
So, yeah, I mean, I do a lot of mindset work and yeah, it's huge. I mean, mindset is the number one thing when it comes to everything, as far as I'm concerned. If you want to improve your sales, if you want to improve your relationship, your finances, whatever it is, it's all self, right? That's where it all begins. I mean, you can point the finger at other people if you want. Reality is it starts with you. So, I'm a big proponent of mindset growth.
So are you equating mindset with the limiting beliefs that you have the limiting beliefs when you don't have the right mindset?
Yeah. Listen, I mean, everybody has limiting beliefs, and to say you don't is just a foolish endeavor. I think that it all starts with us, though, right? So if we're sort of keeping it to this sale theme, limiting beliefs are what destroys salespeoul. It's not just attitude, it's a limiting belief that they have. And it could be anything. It could be, product knowledge. I don't know enough about my customer is going to think that I don't know what I'm talking about. It could be, I'm too old or I'm too young, or they don't want to hear what I have to say. I'm afraid of rejection. It could be a ton of different things, but the reality is simply this: no matter what it is, you're never going to achieve the success you're looking for unless you identify the meaning behind those limiting beliefs and challenge them.
Let's go back to your one of the limiting beliefs you quickly mentioned there was, you're too old or you're too young, where people are going to think of me in a different light because of my age. And that could be a very real limiting belief, particularly in real estate. But I was thinking about it, and I think the way that, we tie the limiting beliefs to your relationships, those limiting beliefs, they really keep us from gaining confidence. And when we gain confidence in our relationships, we're able to communicate better because there's more trust. And I think that we're all going to ignore that growth on your forehead today.
Yeah, with the hair, I didn't shave.
Yeah, but the idea is that if we're self-conscious or if we have a limiting belief saying, okay, I'm too young, then I might not go into that relationship building process with enough confidence to really build a solid relationship. And when it comes to sales, if I don't have a relationship with somebody, I'm going to have a much more difficult time in helping them achieve what they want to achieve, or helping them to, they have goals. That's the whole idea of the sales process. Your client has goals and you're there to help them move forward into that.
Well, it's funny that we're talking about this because I just had a mentoring call before we got on this call. And we were just talking about that. And I said, to this person that I was mentoring, that the reality is simply this: If you can't display honest, genuine confidence in yourself and trust in yourself, the person you're speaking with isn't going to see that either. It's that same old thing I always say about salespeople is, if you're not enthusiastic about what you're selling, then why should someone buy from you? If you're not enthusiastic about it, why should they be? And that's the same thing with your confidence. It's the same thing with your attitude. It's the same thing with everything. People pick up on these vibes.
Yeah.
But, and that's what these limiting beliefs do to us. They destroy us from within.
Yeah. When I believe I believe the negative things about myself, and, that they're holding me back, I could come across as being defensive. I might want to defend. I might defend why I want to say something. I'm not acting in confidence. And overcoming these beliefs, limiting beliefs, will help you communicate more effectively, I think. And because you need to exhibit confidence. Now, not arrogance, but confidence.
Well, exactly. There's a line that needs to be drawn. Not that I like drawing lines in the sand, but there is a point at which you come off unlikable, and that's not a good thing. That's a destroyer of careers.
Yeah. No, yeah. We've talked about that. People want to do business with those that they know, like, and trust.
Exactly.
Right?
And the true factor, and here lies the thing with it is, more confidence you display, the more trust you display, not only in yourself, but that resonates with the client as well. It just does, because you're displaying an amount of expertise and authority in the subject that you're talking about. And that exudes from within. And again, when it comes to these limiting beliefs, you have to be able to identify, and here lies one of the tips about in understanding where these limiting beliefs are coming from. You have to be able to identify what these beliefs are for you, what meaning they mean to you, because if you don't, then you're not going to be able to challenge it and use it to your advantage. So,
yeah, that's identifying them and knowing what they are, I think is really a key thing, particularly when we consider the sales process isn't typically a straight line. Well, maybe it is for you, right?
No, it's not.
It's never a straight line. But if I have a limiting belief and I encounter a twist in the sales process, my resilience isn't going to be good enough. I'll revert back and I'll maybe give up. But if I've overcome my limiting belief, or if I recognize what my limiting belief is and put it in its proper place, then I'm more able to develop better resilience and to work through the different twists and turns that may come, in the sales process. Because, like you said, it's not a straight run right through.
No, it never is. And, that's the thing. And if we're just like, I used to have a limiting product knowledge that I had for the product. And like, that was one of the ones that I used to have. The best way to solve that is to get more acquainted with the product yourself, right? Is to understand what it's all about. But sometimes you get into such a deep, negative thought process that you're not thinking of that. And, the reality is this, selling to people is about results. That's what they're looking for in the end. You know what? It's not even about nowadays. Hey, 35 years ago, when you and I started out, we probably knew a lot. Like when I was in the marine business back then, I knew a lot about boats, more than the customer did. There were very few customers or buyers that came in and knew more about boats than I did. We're in the other sales guys, because it just wasn't, the information wasn't out there. But today it's a whole different story. People are coming to you and they know everything about it. So there's no point in me trying, if I'm representing 10 different items and understanding the difference in each one, I need to understand what they are. But it's not about that. People are looking for results. They're looking for something, they're looking for the ability to find relief. They want a solution to a problem they have. That's what they want.
Yeah,
I don't think
they want that relief. They want that solution. And if you have a limiting belief, that's going to hold you back from being able to communicate what your solution is to those people.
they don't want to hear me blurt out detail after detail, feature after feature of this, that, and other. I need to ask questions to find out exactly what they want. What's their need? I mean, you have to go into it. It's like I was teaching this morning on this call. You have to identify what it is you want out of this interaction. And in order to help them or help yours want something, you have to help them get what they need. That's what it's about. It's about result. They want something. They need something. That's what you have to be able to do. And you do that by questioning. Now, if you're wrought with limiting beliefs about your ability to be able to do that, then you really need to make some changes with yourself and ask yourself what's going on, right?
Yeah. So let's first of all, let's say, okay, how do you identify a limiting belief?
So you have to really take inventory of yourself and find out what are these things that are holding me back? Like, what are these triggers? So you have to basically self-reflection and awareness. It's about identifying them. What are these triggers? What are these things that I'm nervous about? So if I'm trying to make a call, why don't I want to pick up the phone? Or, so afraid of the fact that, I'm too old and they don't want to listen to me. Maybe they don't want to hear me because I'm too old. That's ridiculous. First of all, it's something that I have a problem with, not them. You don't know what they want. Well, don't assume that that's what it is. You see what I'm saying? You have to really get into some self-reflection and understand where you're at.
Yeah, I agree. I think the self-reflection is important. One of the ways I think I've counseled people is I've suggested to them that they pay attention to the conversation that we're having in our brain. We're continually talking to ourselves, and I don't think I'm unusual, in that regard. But no, we don't always have a pleasant conversation. We can be quite mean to ourselves, and
bad talk.
Yeah. Self-saboteur, which we got to mark that down. That's got to be one of our upcoming episodes. But we have this talk that we have, and we have to recognize what it is that what's the theme of the conversation. Am I saying, well, like really, like, let's use real estate, for example, because that's the one I'm most familiar with. But I know a lot of realtors, they come into the game and they feel that they don't have enough experience.
Mm-hmm.
So that could, if they dwell on that all the time, well, I don't have enough experience. Why was somebody going to want to talk to me? I don't want to pick up the phone and talk to them. What if they ask me a question and I don't know the answer to it? Like, what am I supposed to say to them? How am I supposed to handle those conversations? Well, that's a significant limiting belief that's keeping you from actually talking to somebody. And one of the ways that I think, or the best way to deal with a limiting belief is to identify it first, and then you reframe, or then you reframe it as a positive. Say, well, okay, well, maybe I'm not. I don't have a lot of, but I'm making that up for that in enthusiasm. If I don't know something, I'm going to just, be like a dog with a bone, and I'm going to just, devour it and find out the answer to your to those solutions. So and that might be one way. You might figure out another way to reframe it. But I'm going to take my lack of experience and turn it into a need for enthusiasm. So I'm going to be way more enthusiastic. I'm going to approach everything from an enthusiastic point of view. I can get this done. I'm going to do it because I'm enthusiastic about doing it. I'm excited about doing it.
Yeah. And I think that positive attitude or affirmation is huge. That's another tip with limiting beliefs. But, I mean, it all comes down to the man. You have to be able to acknowledge that these beliefs are holding you back. You do have to sort of take responsibility. These are holding me back, and you have to commit to challenging them. But you can't do that unless you understand the meaning behind them. And that is one of the main aspects of limiting beliefs, is understanding what they mean to you and then being able to put forth a challenge against them. And positive, the second thing that we can talk about is positive affirmation, where, you have a good attitude and a more positive. That also comes down to who you hang out with in the office. If you're working in an office sales team, is, stay away from the negative people.
Oh yeah.
They'll bring you down each time, and especially in sales teams, if there's the competition going on, just stay away from the negative people.
Negative Nellies. Sorry
Yeah.
if there's anybody out there named Nelly, but that just kind of rhymes. But I think I think what we'll really get is that the limiting beliefs hinder our level of confidence in what we're doing. And when we're not confident, we aren't as good in our communication. We're not we haven't built up our resilience to the process, because you have to be resilient to be a salesperson. There's no question about that.
Challenging those limiting beliefs help build that resilience and to stick with what you need to do to get things done.
Yeah. But it also, one of the things that we haven't really talked about, we've talked about it in general, but if I'm communicating better, if I'm able to have a better communication, talk to my client in a better way, like you say, ask questions, then I'm going to be able to be better at empathizing with their situation. And when I'm more empathetic about their situation, then I'm more likely going to understand what it really means to them to solve the issue that they have, or solve the problem that they have. And that's as a salesperson, that's what my role is to help people solve problems. But I can't solve their problem if I'm not empathetic. If I don't see, their problem, if I don't hear what they're saying to me, I'm not going to be effective as a salesperson.
No, that certainly comes easier to people with a certain personality type than others, right? But it has to come from a genuine place. It can't be a made up place where I don't really care about people, so I got to pretend. that doesn't work. People are a lot more intelligent these days, I find, than they were back in the day when I first started selling. But, that's just part of it. Empathy is huge, right? You have to be able to care about other people. We're in the people business. Doesn't matter if we're selling to a company or not. You're telling you, if people running the company, AI hasn't taken over everything.
I think that's what a lot of people, like, what is AI and all that. And it's kind of interesting. I think it's a fascinating topic, but we have to remember that people build relationships with people, and those are the meaningful relationships. I can talk to my computer or, some AI figure, like some of these chats that they have, that they're AI, they're artificial intelligence, but sometimes they're not very intelligent.
But they're not there yet.
And then you see these pictures of some of the ideas, where they have actually droids, talking to you, and that's a weird world we're talking about. But anyway,
well, listen. Another point we can bring to the table for people to help them is continuous learning and skill development. Because if you are nervous about product knowledge, let's say that's one thing, you're just not up to speed on it. Instead of thinking about how nervous you are about talking about it, go and do something. Go and learn more about it. Go learn, always continually learn and develop your skills, because without it, you're not going to be able to be as successful as you want to be.
Yeah. I think we've talked in the past, one of the skills, there's different types of skills. There's hard skills, learning how to actually do something with your hands, or, or learning, the material, learning learning about boats, learning about houses, learning, those are different skills. One of the things that we need to talk about as well is the soft skills. And one of those soft skills, I think, is understanding yourself, figure out what's your personality style, and what's your personality style and what are the strengths of your style? Because when we understand our personal style, I think it can help us identify why we may have a limiting belief. And it might also indicate, we can say, okay, that's a limiting belief I have, and it's not based on there's no basis effect to it. This is the way I am. So build on your strengths, right? And you understand that when you become more self-aware of your personality and what your strengths actually are.
Yeah. Well, understanding that kind of thing, I teach this in one of my courses, that when you understand those types of things, that really builds your confidence, builds
Yeah.
your self-image, builds what you think of yourself, builds it into a thing. And one of the other things we can mention as a tip is visualization and mental rehearsal. I do that continually. Like I know today it's going to be a busy day for me. I started at 9. I've been on calls ever since. Last night, I kind of, went through sequence in my head about how this was going to roll out and what we were going to talk about. I'm not reading from a script or anything, but I know where we're going, and that's a visualization, and that's a mental rehearsal for me. And that really helps me be prepared for our call.
Yeah. Similar for me. I have an appointment to list a property, this afternoon. So it's afternoon, maybe almost afternoon in Ontario, but it's still it's still, earlier in the morning for me in Vancouver. So I've gone through in my head, everything. I got all the forms ready. I got, okay, I'm going to be doing this, but I've rehearsed everything that I'm doing. So I don't have, I've looked at my limiting belief of, well, maybe this could happen, maybe that could happen. And I've approached it with an idea of be prepared. And I think that helps an awful lot. So that it's a good tip, to be prepared.
Yeah. And I think really for everyone who's listening to this, overcoming limiting beliefs is a continuous process. You always have to look within and be patient with yourself and celebrate the small win and stay committed to your development.
Yep.
Whether that's personal growth, whether that's skill, whatever it is, always be committed to that.
Well, thanks a lot, Greg, for this conversation. I hope that the rest of us enjoyed it. I know we enjoy talking about these things. And if you have a particular topic that you'd like us to talk about, then our contact information is going to be in the description, below. And we'd love to hear from you. So let us know what you're thinking, and we'll do what we can to help out. So
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.